10 hours ago, this comet left London and has just landed at Mehrabad Airport, Tehran, capital of Persia. Ralph Izzard and I are here to meet a very important passenger, Joe Brown, a plumber. Joe is one of the great mountaineers of this century, and this was why he was joining us. We believed he was the only person who could get our expedition up the vertical and rotten cliffs which guard the unexplored caves in the Valley of the Assassins. There is evidence that once they were part of a castle plastered against the cliff. Peter Willey, schoolmaster and archaeologist, discovered the site 2 years ago and has come with us, making this his third visit. Peter is not only here to guide us, but because he of all people wants to be here. For 2 years he's been dreaming of what treasures might lie in the central caves, which his party couldn't reach. For if he could not reach them, neither could anyone else, since the Mongols swept through this remote valley in 1256. Now we have Joe Brown's almost fabulous rock climbing skill to aid us. If he can't climb the 120 feet of crumbling vertical rock and get us in, then nothing short of a firm of steeplejacks can. After 2 days' travel through wild mountains, we were in a position to make the attempt. As we walked up the path, we couldn't help thinking of the assassins who walked the same path 1,000 years before, and who gave us our sinister word, assassinate, murder for political ends. They were originally called Hashashin, because of the use they made of the drug hashish. Their founder, Hassan-i-Saba, an ancestor of the Aga Khan, was known to the Crusaders as the Old Man of the Mountains. Even today his name is used to frighten naughty children. We were now approaching the lairs from which went out the orders to terrorize and kill the heads of state as far afield as Baghdad, Cairo, and Jerusalem. Our own Prince Edward, before he became King Edward I, was stabbed by an assassin with a poisoned dagger. Nobody was safe, because the envoys were without fear. Death, their leader had promised them, would take them straight to paradise. The Old Man of the Mountains, in order to persuade them, had made a very clever use of the drug hashish. Somewhere there was a secret garden into which his drugged followers were carried. They woke up to an Arabian Nights paradise. Cool fountains, singing birds, wine, and needless to say, beautiful women wrapped in filmy veils. To the young men in their dreamy state, this was indeed paradise. And when they woke up afterwards, perhaps on this arid hillside, they were only too anxious to carry out any of Hassan's orders, even to jump on command from the battlements above our heads, now long since crumbled away. It looks to me as if you might get up that crack there, Joe, on that one.
Well, it's probably possible to get up it, but on this loose rock it's dangerous on that face climbing. And this groove here we could probably get up by bridging, so I think that would be the best one to try first.
With Joe, I never discuss whether we can get up, but only how. Joe makes even the most difficult climb look easy. He's one of those exceptional natural geniuses of which every decade only throws up one or two. But in addition, he's not just a natural monkey. What he's able to do is the result of a rigorous training and years of experience. This is as much a demonstration of skill by a top performer as you would get in the Olympic Games from a gold medalist. The only difference is that this is a performance which is not usually watched, and the penalty for making a mistake is almost invariably fatal.
rather Joe than me, Peter, that's all I can say.
Yes, every time.
You wouldn't get me up there with all the Mongols and Ater after me. What do you think we're going to find in there?
Oh, heaven knows, Rafe. I've been dreaming about this for the last 2 years.
All right? Yeah. Watch out for rocks, Tom. All right. How far up's he got, Ray?
I think he's stuck.
Just moving down a bit, Tom.
What? Coming down a bit, right? All right.
Right, going up again, stick in.
What?
Stick in.
Getting up an overhang demands a special modern technique, using steel pegs driven into the rock and short lengths of ladder to hang on them.
All right, Joe.
Right. Are you there, Joe?
Yes. Go on.
And so Joe stood at the entrance of a place where no man had stood for 700 years.
Are you there? Tom?
Wait a minute, yes?
It seems seems to go in. There's 2 passages just inside the entrance.
Well, pull the ladder up then.
Okay.
Yeah? You ready for me? Take in.
Right. That you?
Yes, that's me.
Right, come on.
If I'm going to be honest, even though we now had a ladder fixed, I was not looking forward to swinging up this 120-foot chimney. Bricks were going to be loosened, and they were going to fall on my head.
Ropes taut.
What?
Right, pull in. There we go. You. Jolly loose. Yeah. I don't know how you got up there without the ladder, Joe.
What a fabulous view these old warriors had, safe in a castle literally plastered on the cliff, with now only a single buttress remaining, until the Mongol hordes appeared and got them to come down by a trick. Peter Willey, who discovered this site, believes it is the ancient assassin stronghold of Maimun Diz.
Go on, Joe.
Joe?
Not far to come now, Rafe.
All right. You both having a bit of a rest?
No, you're only about
Huh?
5 feet.
God.
How are you feeling?
Awful. So. Am I all right? Am I all right?
Yep.
Yes? Just... What do you do here, Joe?
Just keep coming up the ladder. Just keep coming up the ladder.
Come with me. All right.
That's over that.
Thanks, Joe.
Right?
If anybody says last one up's a sissy, I'll scream.
Now, before we start, everybody, please remember not to shout. The odds are nothing bigger than a bird has been moving in here for hundreds of years. Stuff may be poised, ready to fall, and a loud shout might bring down the roof, so please speak quietly.
What do you think of this thing?
Well, I think straight ahead for a start.
Have you seen these stalagmites of pigeon droppings, Peter?
What, they're interesting, aren't they?
I wonder how old those are.
Haven't a clue, Tom. Could have been here 700 years.
Watch the ground in case there's a shark. It's a very eerie feeling knowing nobody has set eyes on this since the Mongols were here.
You got your torches? Yes.
Peter, what's this?
This is a most interesting example of an assassin fireplace. There are two charred bricks at the back, with a cooking pot just beside it. Then there's a comb, charcoal, wood, human bones, and shards of pottery all around.
Funny thing is, I can still smell the fire. I wonder whose bones
Maybe
they
those
were.
were some member of the Grand Master's bodyguard who was struck down on the ramparts by a Mongol arrow and dragged in to die by the hearth.
I can't believe that the soldiers normally lived in here in the dark. It's too damp. It seems much more likely this was for storage and to shelter the men who came in from outside when there was an alert. If you're going off by yourself, mind you don't get lost.
Mind your head, Tom. Oh. Mind your head on the roof. Looks like a bit of plaster. Is that plaster? I think that's stalactite, actually.
Are you all right?
Yes, but don't shout so loud. We spent hours exploring what was a warren of passages, stumbling over rocks, banging our heads on the roof, always slightly afraid of getting lost. Sometimes we would see a light ahead and meet each other where branch passages joined. Sometimes when we walked under low arches of rock, where there'd been a fall of roof, we were reminded in a graphic and sinister way of the millions of tons of mountain above and the absence of any mine rescue squads in the wilds out here.
That's kind of
Broken pots have very little interest to most people. But if they discover anything at all, archaeologists usually only find their pots in pieces. A pot is a fragile thing, and whole ones, or even nearly whole ones, are not all that common. Glaze is one of the important clues to look for when estimating the date of a pot. So far we had found nothing of spectacular interest.
I think that's stalactite, actually.
Peter was getting his arms full of broken pieces, which we were finding all over the place and handing to him to carry. We began to think that everything of interest must have got buried under tons of rock. Then, someone saw a sparkle in a narrow crevice. After that, things began to look up. Peter Willey sat at the seat of custom, whilst we brought in our finds. First, a large storage jar, virtually intact.
I think it's worthwhile investigating this one.
Difficult to date because it's unglazed and without ornament.
Just like a piece of that back,
Then came something which, apart from being beautiful, was certainly going to be identified by the experts. A nearly complete jug in a wonderful dark blue glaze and with a raised pattern. According to the date it was made, it could prove or disprove all of Peter's theories. For nobody had been in this cave since the castle on the cliff face was knocked down, and what was here had lain untouched since that time. And the answer? The pot is similar to those that used to be made at Ray, south of Tehran. Probably the spout was in the form of a bird's head. It belonged to a wealthy man, alive around the year 1200, the time just before the assassins were overrun. The pot was proof that we really had entered the cave of the assassins.